From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. Hey, James, how are you today? It's good to be back.
Yourself, Steve?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. Today's a big day. We're welcoming back a return or two return guests, and get to talk about a special event recently that happened. And James, you actually were one of the ones that helped to inspire this. So I'll let you, if you'd like, introduce the guests and talk a little bit about what the event was.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. So we have the Bald AV folks here with us today, George and Rich, and they're going to talk about a little program they had just recently after a comment I made during Infocom during our recording. I'll let those two dive into it because they'll get much better details than I will.
So George Chacko and Rich Miller, the Bald AV guys, are here to join us today. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us back. And we are a package deal wherever we go. One won't know what to say without the other. So
also, I can't leave George unsupervised. So
I think that's the real problem. I'll make promises and commitments everywhere and say stuff I shouldn't be saying.
Well, I could kick this off and just talk a little bit about the fact that I was in attendance at this event. It was on November 29th. It was, and we're recording in 2023 for anybody who's listening in the future. This was a really, really great event that the industry really needed. And I'll let you guys talk about, how you got to this point and what was involved in planning it and so forth. But what I really want to emphasize is the fact that we've been talking for so many years about getting young people involved in this industry. And James made the comment that in order to get them involved, and especially at a college level, which you guys are doing a fantastic job with your minor and potential major course study, you really have to plant the seeds early. And what this event did was really expose young people to the AV industry. So Rich, George, whoever wants to start, why don't you give us a little bit of background about the event and just talk about your experience with engaging with the industry and getting people to be involved and participating.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys, James, I don't know when we were at the HETMA booth at Infocom, when you said those words, we need to get into high schools. I don't know if you actually saw the light bulbs go off at the same time right above Rich and my heads, because that's when this idea was born. And we walked away from that booth, and I think we both kind of said, holy crap, that's what we got to do next. Let's get to the drawing board of how we're going to accomplish that. It wasn't easy, especially because we took the tall task of saying we want to do it in the next 4 months. Let's just do it before it gets too cold and we lose traction on this. So that was probably the biggest challenge, but it really came together. It came together so well that I still can't believe that it's over. It's so well received. But things leading up to it, reaching out to the high schools, initially us going into spam, people reading it partially. We had folks thinking, oh, it's a Saturday, and we're like, no, this is next month, not this month. Flip your calendar, look at the date. A lot of back and forth. Oh, we're not sure if the kids are interested. And then we had to explain what this is. It's not putting up speakers, it's not putting up a TV. So it's really interesting to see, in my opinion, without going off on too much of a tangent, is how the mindset of people is still, oh, AV is not a real career path. I'm not sure the students are interested in that. You know what I mean? And to see the transformation of the kids, as I got to give a shout out to Chris Fitzpatrick, because he blew that room out of the water. Everybody was sold in that moment, right? And Rich can talk a little bit more about pulling in those high schools into to attend. So I'll turn it over to you, Rich.
Yeah, so like George said, silly logistical things that happen with every type of event that you try to put together, right? You just try to gotta get the crowd kind of fired up and understanding what we were putting out there. And I think that was the biggest issue, right? It was like, well, AV, like, so they were like, so who are we inviting? Like, should we invite X, A, B, and C, or X, Y, and Z? And we're like, invite them all. Like, are they into tech? Are they in film? Are they interested in code? Like, we're like, even if they're just like tech stuff and they're not in any club or do anything with that regard, have them come. And fast forward, we ran into a great problem. We had standing room only at some point, and not by design, obviously, because we planned this like to a T. We had tables, we had chairs. We were hauling chairs out of the back room, setting them up, just because we actually ended up with more folks in attendance, which was a good problem to have. And so for next year, takeaway. Definitely need to alter that a little bit, but that was a great problem to have. But our partnerships with the local high schools was really key. Both George and I have some, our kids go to some of these schools. I have, my alma mater, and I have some family members, and George has family members. So we were reaching out to everybody we could think of, and we ended up with 6 high schools. And I think our goal next year, I mean, I would say to double it, but I think double digits next year is a legitimate goal to get 10 high schools to come. And then, ironically, we just sent a feedback survey out this week, so we're hoping we get some constructive feedback. All in all, we end up with upwards of 150 to 200 people in total, the majority of which were high school students. And I'm like George said, I'm still kind of just riding that wave, because it was a couple of weeks ago at this point, but I still can't believe it's over, done with. It was a success. We had so much support, and we're really stoked for next year, though. Like, we really want to make this a yearly thing, and it was a really great event, I think. So we're happy. We couldn't have been done without everybody involved, though. All of the AV tweeps, all of our industry friends, all of the panelists, all the moderators, the keynote, and obviously our local high schools, and the support of our PACE team as well.
Yeah, and to the industry, the AV family is so tight knit, was so proof. We had folks coming from all these different parts of the country to join and be a part of this. It was just amazing to see, and it was really wonderful. It was really wonderful.
I was going to add that too. I think there were people that I saw there that I hadn't seen in years, some that I had never met in person. So it was pretty amazing. And it's always great to have an event, especially in the New York area, where you can get all the local AV folks together, because everybody really does support each other. And they not only do they want to be able to encourage people to join the industry, but they also want to support those in the industry. So to me, it was a very heartwarming event, and it was a complete success as an outsider. So congrats, guys.
And a key part, we didn't run out of pizza.
we somehow we made it on the food side. Shout out to everybody that helped us out with that.
And you had very fancy flavored water too.
Well, gotta have the flavored water.
That was really awesome. James, from your perspective, is this something that you think that other schools can take part of, or how can the industry replicate this?
First off, I want to give George and Rich kudos and spotlight here, because saying yes, okay, it was a comment I made, but these two put it into reality. They actually did the hard work. I kind of chop it up like you look at HETMA with the prison scholarship. That's action to words. I kind of just gave words. I wasn't putting any actions behind it. These two took it, put actions behind it, and then made a great event out of it. Yes, and going on to your question, Steve, I do feel industry can benefit from this, because we keep saying that we want to bring younger generation and we want to get people in here. We talk to people in AV, they all say, I fell into it. Most of them are failed musicians. I'm a little outlier. I was a IT person who kind of got shoved into AV. I was not a musician at all. I didn't play any instruments. But everyone you talk to loves AV. there's no clear, this is how you get into it, until George and Rich came around with Pace University and their program there. And now this program that talk to high school students. And I hopefully other members of our AV family or AV community, let's see this happening in the South. Let's see this happening in the West Coast and the North, the Plain States and all that stuff. Let's get this nationwide and maybe even global to build the AV industry.
So guys, is this something that other people have been reaching out to you to talk to you about? And is this, do you feel like it's something that can be templated, I guess, for others to use?
Well, Rich has a template. He's willing to give it to anybody. We've had several. So we presented this at ETC at USC a couple months ago, and we got a lot of good feedback. We have a lot of folks that were interested in hearing more about it, looking at the syllabus, just kind of bring it up to their leadership. But very recently, we had folks from, I don't know if we're allowed to take their names, so I'm just gonna not use the names just because we have, it's a community college that specializes in certain trades, and they came across our script, our what we're doing here, and they're interested in partnering up or just seeing what we have to offer, and see if that's something that we can partner up with them on. So is it catching on? People are talking about it, and I think that's how it's going to get started.
Yeah, and from a from a perspective, our goal always has been, once we get this, keep building this, is to create some sort of consortium. We're not looking to silo this. We're looking to obviously share what we're doing and build on it. So that's a good first step in that regard. And flipping it from the college back to the high school for a second, we're also thinking about this summer even running some high school camps for students that are interested. So similar to that group that we just had at the event, kind of reeling them in. Maybe they're getting a little closer to graduating and having a little, a little boot camp over the summer where it's like a watered down version of our intro course that we teach. And just give, nothing crazy or over the top, but just give them another taste, not just a day event listening to other people speak, but maybe come to campus for a few days and have a couple of days of hands-on experiences as well. So those are some of the other ideas that George and I, that just as recently as this week, that we've been kind of starting to plot out. So,
and if this does come to fruition, they will go through the rigors of it, because we have so many projects that go on in the summer. They'll be wrapping cables for days. You know what I mean? If they don't do it right, no, restart. Let's go again. So I think once the students get their hands on actual gear, and this is what Rich and I are also talking about next year, is like, what do we do different next year? Is how do we incorporate some sort of hands-on into that summit, right? It's great to hear from people, but when you realize you could program a touch, of course, we're not going to bring in 150 touch panels and have it's programmed. I don't think that's realistic, but something that they could take away. We're trying to figure out how to do that. And actually, I just noticed that drawing behind me,
yes.
this is how fast conversation happens between Rich and me. We're thinking about a third group of folks in our industry that could use the assistance, right? We're all here. We all fell into this industry. That's still the story. So those folks that have just failed in their music field and came into the AV field, why not bring them in for a 2-week crash course? Get them Dante Level 1 certification, get them Crestron Core certification, get them, I can't read my handwriting, but a whole bunch of stuff there. Why not? Why stop? Let's build this whole thing out. So big dreams.
That's really amazing. The other part of it too, and it was talked a little bit about, is that the AV industry still also provides a lot of opportunities that are non-technical too. And I know that was touched on one of the panels, and it's really neat to be able to show everybody all the facets of what we could provide. And I think what you mentioned about Chris from Crestron, how he just talked about this is an industry that's growing at an incredible pace. It's outgrowing other industries. And if any, I think one of the comments he said is everybody in this room could potentially find a job in this industry in the next 5 years. That's how much it's growing, which I thought was really neat.
He isn't wrong.
And I like the idea of bringing people in the summer, because you actually can show them, look, this is what we really do, and this is what a project looks like.
Yeah.
And I don't that's really could be really, really neat.
Yeah, the ceiling tiles didn't look exactly like that 2 months ago. It was a very different picture.
Yeah, I mean, this is what it's like, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you asking for from the industry? What do you think those who are interested can do to help you out, and how can more people get involved? Because to me, I've at a point in my career where I feel like this industry has been good to me, and I would like to return the favor. And I'm always interested in mentoring or helping somebody young succeed, because I think that there's so much to offer, and especially somebody that's passionate. How can others get involved or help either your students or future students?
Sure. It's exactly what you said. First of all, again, the fact that everybody came out for that summit is real testament for how we're humbled, amazed, all of it at the same time, right? But I think it's the mentorship, it's the direction, we kind of forged our own ways, and it is what it is. We were okay when we did it. But I think Rich, you could talk about the 300 level course or the 400 level course. Numbers are always vague with me. Rich is a numbers guy. I think that is where the industry can really partner with us and kind of lead the next leg of this.
Yeah. So, like George said, like Steve, like you said, it's the fact that the industry is willing to give their time for this. Obviously, big shout out to, I want to actually just shout out a few people. Brittany from your team, Steve, she was on the panel. Kristen, Beth, Gina, Jennifer, Tim, Albright, Sharath, Chris Fitzpatrick, our students, May, Carla, Cece, Gopesh, Caitlin. They're all putting their time into this, right? And time, it's some folks took time, some folks traveled from out of state. We had folks from Florida, folks from Chicago. It wasn't just a local event. So the fact that folks actually took the time and came and shared their experience, I think was just really super. It was priceless for the students in the room. And going forward, George just alluded to it with the course. One of the higher level course for the minor is going to be some sort of apprenticeship / internship, and that's really where George and I take a back seat, right? We're their advisors, if you will, in that course, but we're going to be partnering with your company, Steve, with other company. We've talked to numerous companies out there and sending students out in the field. They're going to literally get hands-on experience, because they're going to get credit for the internship. They're going to learn, and they're just going to build that invaluable experience. The whole idea of that George and I kind of hammer home, the learning by doing, which is what we really do. We're truly an experiential department, and that's how we run all of our courses. And the fact that that's how we're going to be able to give them the ending part of their minor in this apprenticeship, as we're calling it, that I think that's really where these industry connections are going to come into play. And we can't be more grateful. I mean, for the first annual event, for the amount of support we have, and I can't even say thank you enough to how many people showed up, and I can't imagine how much better we can now make it for next year.
Yeah. I mean, I'll continue naming some people just because Rich and I are so grateful. Sennheiser, CTI, Dave Frazee, Tim Albright. No, I'm sorry, that's not right at all. Tim Albright and Gary. I don't know how to say his last name, Rich. You're gonna have to help me.
Gary from West Point.
Gary from West Point. Gary from West Point. He drove up from Pennsylvania.
4 hours.
4 hours, and he was talking to the students. It's just it's really wonderful to see. And also, if we are able to pull this summer camp off, if this comes to fruition, then we'll definitely be leaning on you. Steve, you said it on the air, so now you can't take it back. So we'll be reaching out.
Got it.
James, you heard him say it, right?
You got it.
Heard it.
Well, just as a little additional plug, I'm involved with the NSCA Education Foundation Board, and one of the things that they do is called Ignite, and that's another program for bringing young people into the industry. So it's something that there's a great synergy there, and I've been involved in that for years. So I certainly, you can count on me, and I certainly would like to support you, and also the share whatever knowledge I can. So I think it would be great.
So we're gonna need 150 touch panels and 150 control. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, but
I'll
the
put them on order.
Our good friend Red from CTI mentioned NSCA as well. So I think we're definitely going to be circling back to you on that, Steve, to see if we can partner in some way, shape, or form.
James, as we wrap up, any final thoughts or any questions that you wanted to pose?
Again, I applaud George and Rich for what they're doing. I think it's great for our industry, and it's great to bring these younger generation in. I mean, funny enough that they're talking about giving this boot camp, giving experience, is just earlier this week, I was interviewing a student worker for my team. And CS is like, during the whole process, he's like, I'm sure you're looking for someone with experience. And it was not a requirement, of course, but it's like, well, now they can get that experience in high school and then already come into the college as a student worker with experience, which is great. So that's all I can say. Hats off to you fellas, and keep up the great work. And if I can help out anyway, let me know.
I'll add 2 cents to that, James, is when I train a new hire, if I can just avoid having them refer to an HDMI cable as a whatchamacallit, I'll take that as a win. I'll take that as a win.
Yeah.
Not a thingy?
Not a thingy, a thingy, a whatchamacallit,
Yeah.
you know, depends where you're
Cable.
from.
Dongle.
A cable, dongle.
Oh, jeez.
Well, always a pleasure having you guys on, and just a special gift to the audience. We'll be doing a second episode to this one, where we'll be including one of Rich and George's students. So stay tuned for our next episode. But until then, George, how can people get in touch with you, learn more what you're up to, learn more about PACE?
Sure. My email is gchacko@pace.edu. Feel free to ask me any questions, PACE related, AV related, sports related. You can find me on LinkedIn, gchacko CTS, or all socials at Bald AV Guys.
And coffee related.
And coffee related. Absolutely.
Rich, how about you?
Yeah, R. Miller at pace.edu, and all the socials were at Bald AV Guys, and you can find me as Rich Miller on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. And James, how can people get in touch with you and keep up with what you're doing?
More important, get in touch with those two fellows, keep up with what they're doing, help them out if you can. If you're trying to get hold of me, Google me, you'll find me. I'm on X, I'm on LinkedIn, Tetma, wherever. Google me, you'll find me.
And I do have to give a shout out to the Bald AV Guys podcast. It's in the second season, so please check that out as well. And if you guys think that they're fun here, they're a lot more fun on their own show. So yeah, make sure
we might have a
listen.
very secret fun thing coming out very soon.
Excellent.
Ooh, breaking news.
Teaser. And for me, you can reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social media, my company Control Concepts at controlconcepts.net. And what's important to James and me is that you follow this podcast. We are AV Programmer Pod on X or Twitter, and we're also on your favorite podcast download as well as YouTube. So please like, share, comment, and give us a rating. And we'd like to grow our audience and have more exciting guests like Rich and George on the show. So please reach out if you're interested, or you can let us know what you would like us to talk about. And until then, this has been Ask the Programmer.